Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm bored. COVID made me bored, and today I am taking a look at 5-Minute Marvel. It is from Spin Masters. It is for 2 to 5 players, ages 8 and up, but you can easily go less than 8 for sure, with a little bit of help. And it is a real-time game, which means there are no individual turns. There is just one round, and everyone is playing all at the same time. It can be pretty chaotic, as any real-time game can be, but it's a lot of fun. And I've played this game with my nephews, and they love it. Real-time isn't for everyone. A little bit of stress. It can get a little frantic, but this game is 100% cooperative. You need to work together as a team. You win or you lose together as a team. This is, as the title says, you got 5 minutes to do what Marvel does best, which is beat bad guys. You see Thanos. Thanos is the big baddie in this game. There are other villains that you have to defeat, but Thanos is the one powerful villain that you have to face in the end. You will be going through various bosses. There are 6 bosses in total, 1 round for each boss, and in that round you have 5 minutes to defeat that boss. 5-Minute Marvel is based on, I believe it's 5-Minute Dungeon. Similar principles. You sort of knock down door cards, you defeat whatever's behind it. I think there's some treasure to give you bonuses, and ultimately you're trying to defeat bosses in that as well. I'm not 100% sure. I've never played that. If you haven't noticed already, I stick to the themes that I love, and superheroes is definitely one of the things I do enjoy. And I like this theme on this type of game. You feel like you are the character, and there are a handful of characters that come in this game. I kind of wish they had expansions for this, but they didn't. And as I understand it, I think Groot, who is in this game, was supposed to be Thor. I'm a little confused because I see some packaging that actually has Thor on the front cover. But it's too bad. There is no Thor in this game, but you do have a whole bunch of others. So let me just quickly take rid of this. So there's the cover of the box, and we have Green Goblin, who is our first. There's not a big board to play on. It's just a simple boss board that you have. And the quality, this is quite thick. It will not bend. It's very nice, and it's double-sided. So you have a boss 1 and MODOK boss 2 on the other side, as well as, let's take a look at the other bosses. You have Red Skull as boss 3, Ultron boss 4, Loki boss 5, and Thanos boss 6. And they all have, if you notice, some symbols that is relevant to the way you play the game. And they have some additional information on there as well. So I will go through that. But this is on the setup of this game. You can choose any boss that you want. You don't have to start from boss 1. You can, if you really want to, just go straight for Thanos, go for the jugular. But if you want to, pass 30 minutes of your time, start from boss 1. If you only have 5 minutes, then by all means, take whichever boss you want. Now, it is 5-Minute Marvel. It takes 5 minutes to play the game, but I would say maybe 5 to 10 minutes to set it up, sort through the cards that you need. Definitely, when you are putting this back, the takedown is a little bit more intense because you do have to sort through the cards, depending how you play the game. If it gets really messy, you have to sort through all the cards that you have. You have multiple types of cards. The first one is what your players will have. And like I said, this is 2 to 5. And the way that you would distribute these cards is it's distributed equally amongst all your players. And these are resource cards that every player will have. You will have, there's no set number because all it is an even distribution. So if you're only 2 players, you have full stack divided in half for each player. And the resource cards are key. They are your ability to defeat villains, supervillains, goons, and I think what the other one was, what is the other type? Minions. There you go. Masterminds, villains, goons, and minions. Those are the types of of threats that you have to defeat in addition to the final boss. So we'll just take a look at the resources first, and you'll see that there are quite a number of combinations, but ultimately there are 5 symbols that you need to know. The first one is the jump resource. Then you have a fist resource. Then you have a energy resource. You have a tech resource. You have a shield resource. And some cards will have both, in which case you can use either or both when you are playing the card. And I'll show you what it means to play the card in just a minute. But these resources are key to your hero's ability to defeat the different types of bad guys in this game. In addition to that, your character will have their own set of special unique cards. And let's just quickly go through the heroes that you get in this game. So you get Spider-Man. You have Squirrel Girl. I actually didn't know, I mean, I love Marvel, but there are some characters here I don't know who they are, and Squirrel Girl is one of them. There's Captain America. There's Medusa. Iron Man. Oh, Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen. The Hulk. Rocket and Groot. Miss Marvel. And Black Widow. Each character has 2 sides. They have their front active side, which gives you a special ability. There is usually a condition in order to use this ability. So in Spider-Man's example, you discard 3 cards to defeat a goon. On their back side, they have an injured side. And depending on the gameplay, your character may be injured, or you may choose to injure yourself in order to defeat the current bad villain or bad guy that's on the field. So I'll explain that as we go through as well. And I will just choose Iron Man. It's hard to do a solo play of this because this game really works at its best with, I would say, 3 or more players. 2 players is fun, definitely fun, but it can be challenging. 3 or more players provides more abilities for resources to be played, more abilities to help you out, especially when you're talking about team play. So the other component with your character comes with their specialized character cards. And these are a resource, a limited resource, I think there's only 10, that you can have in your hand, which some provide the same resource symbols as your resource cards, but there are a few that provide you a special ability. And that, for example, here, your Iron Man's Repulsor Rays, you can defeat a minion or defeat a mastermind. And that's actually quite useful. So there'll be times where you definitely want to play this card if a minion or mastermind shows up and you're unable, or you want to do it quickly, or you're unable to fulfill the resource requirements to defeat him. So every character has their own unique set of cards, and they provide, I would say, it's unique to the character. So for the most part, I mean, it has a little bit of, what do you call it, Marvel United in it, in the sense that they all have the same resources, they all kind of play the same. The special cards that they have, some of them are a little bit different, some of them are similar, just worded different, or they've got the character symbol. That's really the only difference. So it really depends how you look at it. It doesn't make it any less for Iron Man if he has some similarities between the other characters. So there you go. I've got Iron Man, and that's who I'm going to play with. I've got his deck of cards on the side, and another set of cards that is important are the door cards. So the door cards are your cards of bad guys who are a mix of minions, goons, masterminds, and villains. They're all villains. I don't know why one has to be called a villain, but we'll just refer to these as door card or baddies. And every door card has a graphic of a character. So there's a Taskmaster. It usually has the name. And it'll have the type of bad guy he is, which is a goon, and just a flavor text at the top. So you'll see he also has the 3 resource symbols. When you're setting up, you'll be taking your set of door cards and you'll be shuffling them, And depending on the boss that you choose, there will be a number in the lower bottom of his resource requirement where it says 15. So you need 15 door cards. And in terms of setup, depending on the number of players, if I believe it is, if you have, well, I think there's a certain difficulty setting. So if you're a novice, you would be adding one door card and one crisis card. So I haven't gotten to crisis cards yet, per player. Crisis cards come in this set here. And crisis cards are bad things that happen, like an event. And for example, this one might be, if the next mission card or the next door card is a goon, everyone has to discard their hand. So when this shows up, you immediately have to resolve it. It goes in the discard pile, and that's it. And you move on to the next door card. So for the novice level, you would add one door card. So in addition to the 15 that's required for Green Goblin, you would add one door card and one crisis card per character or per player that is participating. So if you are a veteran, and you want to make it a little bit more difficult, you would add two door cards and two crisis cards per player to the stack, and that would increase the difficulty if you choose to do so. So you'll see that Green Goblin has a set of resources that are required. These are the resources that you must play in order to defeat him. And it's the same with the door card bad guys. So his stack is 15. I have because it's just me, I have 16 door cards plus a crisis card. And I'm just going to do a shuffle. And I would place them on top of the Green Goblin's, I guess, stat here. When the game starts, you'll be flipping over the door card to reveal who's behind it, and you'll be playing resources from your hand to try to defeat that bad guy. So when you're starting, depending on the number of players, your starting hand is, if you're 2 players, you'd be starting with 6 cards. If you're 3 players, you'd be starting with 4. If you have 4 or 5 players, you'd have 3 cards in your hand. So let's just say I had a second player, but we'll put Spider-Man. And we'll put, where's his stack of cards here? Here's his stack of cards. So you'll see Spider-Man has, again, defeat a minion. Very similar. Defeat a villain. So between Iron Man and him, he can defeat villain and minions. Iron Man can defeat masterminds and goons. So, and then you have this one, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Give your hand to another hero and then draw a new hand. So that's pretty useful. And that is kind of thematic, I guess, with him. So he would have his hand there. We would equally divide between the 2 players the resource cards. And on Iron Man's turn, he would draw 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, for the initial start of your game, you only get to have the basic resources in your hand. As you play your cards, so I get to look at this, as you play your cards, you will replenish your hand to the maximum hand size that you have. Well, not maximum hand size, but the default hand size that you should have. So as I play cards, I can draw cards to refill. If I play multiple cards, I would draw cards to refill. There are some abilities and some characters who allow you to have more than the hand size, and that's fine too. You just can't draw more than 6 if an ability isn't providing more than 6. So you'd always have your hand size at any given time. After the first setup, all the characters will have their 6 basic resources. When I play these resource cards to defeat a bad guy or a door card, I can draw from either pile, from my basic resources or from my special character-specific resources. But these resources are limited. You only have, I think, about 10, so you do have to use them wisely. And once your stack of resource cards and character cards run out, there's nothing you can do. If all the players run out of cards, you lose. If you are both injured, I think if you're both injured, then you lose. I think that is one of the losing conditions. And that basically means that you are unable to, or you play all your cards and you're unable to defeat the door card or the boss. You lose. And obviously, it's called 5-Minute Marvel. You have 5 minutes to get through those door cards, get to the boss, and defeat it. There is an app for this game. You don't need one. You can easily just have a sand timer that's 5 minutes or just a stopwatch. But the app provided, and it's free. It's supposed to be Jarvis. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see that? It's supposed to be Jarvis. And when you start it, he adds a little bit of tension. As the timer gets closer to that 5-minute mark, the music goes a little faster. There's a little bit more heavy bass. The tension is building up, and you feel that you're really going to have to work harder to meet your goal. So I'll just let you hear it.
I suggest we prepare a plan this time. 3, 2, 1, go!
So it starts off with some relatively fast-paced music to get that feeling of intensity to move as quickly as possible. He will give you sort of the 2-minute warning mark and the 1-minute warning mark. Once it counts down and it's over, you can then indicate whether or not you were successful or you failed. If you still happen to defeat it before the 5-minute mark, you would pause the timer. And there's an option to say if you won or if you lost. So if you win...
Very well done. Excellent teamwork. Superb demonstration of speed and intellect.
So it gives you a little bit of a verbal reward. It's fun. It's not required, but I can see that it adds a little bit, especially for if you're playing with younger kids. It gets them in the mood to be a Marvel superhero. So when the timer starts, I'll have my 6 resources in my hand. My partners or my teammates will also have the 6 resources in their hand, and we'll start the timer. And when we start the timer, we'll flip over the first door card. So here the first door card is Kang. It is a mastermind. Now, if at some point after the first turn, I have a special ability from my character card that allows me to defeat a mastermind, I can play it. And that's it. One of the things that I've discovered while playing this is it's good to play your resources in a separate pile. If you start to play everything on top of the one pile, this is where it becomes mad chaos and you have to sort things out. So you keep the door cards discarded onto this side, and eventually you'll drill down to your boss, and that's great. And then you can just sort this out, and then you have your resources that you've played. The other thing to note is you do need, or someone, if not all the players, need to keep track of what resources have been played, because sometimes it can be pretty crazy, a bit of a frenzy, and you lose sight of what have I played. The other thing that when you're playing, the moment a player, and remember, you're all playing simultaneously. So as soon as that door card comes out, everyone's looking at their cards, and I put down this, I put down a shield, I put down a jump. If I so happen to put down a jump, there's only one jump requirement for defeating Kang. If I put that resource down and then my teammate also puts it down at the same time, the moment he lets go, they're both committed. So you've overpaid in that sense. You didn't have to. So there can be a little bit of teamwork coordination. You can plan a game plan, maybe try to declare, okay, here are the cards that I have, and you can definitely play open-handed. You're not hiding your cards from your teammates, because that doesn't make any sense. And you can easily say, oh, I've got a lot of shields, so let me take care of the shields. And you can create a strategy if you want to. It's not difficult to coordinate. You may not have the alpha gamer syndrome here because it is real time. You don't have time to sit here, look at their hands and say, okay, well, here, you play that and you play that card. No, you just play what you think you need to play, but you can still create a strategy at the beginning before the game starts. So in this case, let's take a look. Let's pull Spider-Man 6 hands, 6 card, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's just say we lay him out so you can see here what he's got. You see it? That's perfect. So I start, and the clock is going. We've got 5 minutes. Oh, I've got a double shield. I go ahead and play that double shield. Oh, Spider-Man, you've got that fist. You play that fist. Oh, you've got the jump. Oh, I had the jump too, but that's okay. But I have a tech. Oh, don't waste that tech. here, let's put down this tech because this is a double tech. Anybody have, oh, we've got energy, and what are we missing? We're missing one more energy. One more energy. So in this situation, because you're replenishing as you're discarding your cards, Iron Man can pull out one card to fulfill his hand, whereas Spider-Man needs to pull out 4, 2, 3, 4. Oh, he's got it. Oh, I've got, okay, done. Kang is defeated. Next card. So we flip this over. This is upside down. It's Corvus Glaive. Okay, and oh, I've got 2 shields. Oops, and I have 2 techs. I beat Spider-Man to it. He didn't have to waste any resources. I'm going to draw from my special character. Maybe I'll draw 2 and 3 to fulfill it. And we've defeated Corvus Glaive. Oh, we flip over. It's a minion. I have a shield. So does Spider-Man. Spider-Man's going to drop this shield down, or sorry, drop this energy down. I drop this energy down. This minion is defeated. We go to the next one. I fill up my hand. So does Spider-Man. Let's pull a couple Spidey cards in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And let's see what we got. We got, who is this? Abomination. I have a shield, so I'm going to drop a shield. I'll drop a tech. Now I could have used his ability to defeat any card with a tech on it, but that's okay. I think we're all right. And I'm going to drop a lightning from Spider-Man. Great. Let's refill our hand. And you can, obviously, I'm controlling 2 sides and coordinating it and talking at the same time. So I'd be pulling as I'm dropping resources to keep a constant supply of resources in my hand. So that defeats Abomination. And here we go. We've got a goon. And it's 3 fists. I don't have any fists. Oh, Spider-Man has a fist. He drops down a fist. Sorry, drops down a fist for 1. He's going to pull in a resource. Okay, so here we go where we have an issue. We do not have any more fists to play. And we, at least for Iron Man, he doesn't have a character card ability that he can use to do anything. But Spider-Man might discard the top card of the mission deck. Well, that doesn't really help me. And technically, he could do that to discard this crisis card. So in this situation, you can look at using your character's ability. So for Iron Man, you would discard 3 cards to draw 5 more cards. So in this situation, I would actually have more than my standard hand of 6. So I'm going to discard 1. I'll discard 1, 2, and 3. So I'll discard these 3. So I discard these ones, and I draw a hand of 5, or 5 additional cards. 1, 2, and I'll draw 1, 3, 3, 4, and 5. So now my hand is well beyond 6, but that's okay because it is allowed. But as I'm playing these cards, as I discard them, if I discard 1 card, I still have more than 6, so I can't replenish anything because I'm not below my default of 6-card hand. So now I've got it. Do I have a fist? I still don't have a fist. So I have his special ability. I can play this, pause time. So I drop that. I pause time. Let's just try to figure out a plan. I'm going to, once you are able to play a card, then the timer would continue. So I'm going to go ahead and use Spider-Man's ability. He's got discard 3 cards to defeat a goon. So he'll discard 1, 2, and 3. He defeats the goon. So we've defeated. And the moment we flip this over, but before we do that, well, actually, you know what? We won't do that. We can continue the timer starting now. So we flip this over, and it says, pass your hand to everyone, pass your hand to another hero. So Spider-Man gets Iron Man's hand, and I get Spider-Man's hand. So there we go. Whoops, turn it this way. So not a terrible effect. Some crisis cards are worse than others, but for Iron Man, I'm below 6, so I draw up to 6, and we continue with the door card. So we've got a minion and a lightning. Let's see. We have 1 lightning that we can play, but that's it. So again, we are at a standstill, and let's see, have Spider-Man draw a card. and he gets another lightning. 1, 2. Actually, he can't draw a card. Sorry, because he already has 6. So there you go. He's already at the default hand size. So Spider-Man's ability only allows him to defeat goons. Iron Man will have to use his ability. I'm going to drop 3 cards. 1, 2, 3 to draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and I'm still not getting it. So we're going to drop this card to pause time, and I'll do it again. So for your character's special ability, you can do as many times as you need to, but obviously I'm burning my resource pile. So instead of doing that, I can take an injury. And when I do that, that's also risky because I have quite a few cards in my hands. But to take an injury would be flipping your character over where he's injured. He no longer has his special ability, but by doing so, you defeat whatever current bad guy you're facing. And so we can easily defeat Grizzly like that, and I also have to discard every card in my current hand and then redraw. So there's a risk. So I draw back up to 6. And we can continue play. So Iron Man remains injured until someone has the ability to uninjure me or to help me up. And for example, let's take a look at, I think it was Captain America. Captain America can help me. So if one of the players on my team was Captain America, he has Super Boost, which is discard 3 cards to recover an injured hero. So on his, not on his turn, but when he's playing, he discards 3 cards. He can help recover Iron Man back to his other side. But right now, we don't have that. So we got to play continue. We defeated Grizzly. We're up next, and oh, these fists are killing me. So we have a shield that Spider-Man drops. We have 1 fist, and that's it. We're going to draw a card, and Spider-Man will also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll draw a card, and again, we are at a standstill. Spider-Man can now injure himself to defeat the villain. The only time you can't injure yourself to defeat what's on the board is if it's the boss. You can't just injure yourself to defeat the boss. The boss you always have to face. So we're going to do that. He's going to discard his hand. We've defeated Absorbing Man, and it comes to the next one. Spider-Man's going to draw his hand of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And there we go. And here we have the Mandarin. We've got 1, 2. We've got 2 tech, another lightning, jump. Let's fill up our hand again. I think I need, oh, and we have lots of tech. 3 tech. And I think we need 1 more jump and 1 more jump. So there we go. We've defeated the Mandarin. And we would fill our hand up. And we go to the next card. So you'll be progressing through these door cards until you get to the last one, which is the boss. And once you do that, if you're able to fulfill the requirements of the boss, done. You've successfully defeated the boss and claimed victory. After that, you can reset the board, reset the timer, move on to boss number 2 if you want to. And there you go. Now, once you're done, cleanup is where it becomes a little bit of a chore. You have to separate all the cards that you've discarded between your basic resources and your character cards. And if you were playing where you just dropped everything into the pile, you'd be also separating out your door cards and crisis cards. So I prefer to keep resources separate from the door cards just to help keep things simple. But once you've done that, you would sort everything back out, give it a good shuffle, and you are set to go again. If you want to, change your characters. So there you go. That is 5-Minute Marvel, the real-time card game where you and 4 other teammates are frantically playing your cards to defeat a bunch of bad guys to ultimately defeat the supervillain or the big boss who is orchestrating chaos in the world. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Until next time, stay bored.